Okay, so I'm very excited to be talking about color rendering using color markers and color pencils. I'm going to go over what equipment you're going to need to make these color drawings, markers and color pencils, as well as what type of paper. How do you transfer your image onto a paper? There's a couple ways. We talk about color theory. I'm going to demo some basic techniques using color marker as well as using color pencils and how to combine them together. Show you all you need is 5 markers to get you started to do a monochromatic drawing. Tell you why you don't need to render the entire drawing. Show you a couple of demos using this marker and color pencil technique. And finally, stay to the end and watch some of my students' work. They are really awesome. It's going to be a long one, but a good one. So you may want to grab a beverage. Okay, so here are some of the equipment that you're going to use to make color renderings. Obviously markers, color pencils. I'm going to talk about paper in a minute, but let's start with some of the things that you're going to need to draw your image. I'm using a number 2 pencil. You can use something softer if you want. I'm going to need a micro liner or something to do very thin lines and something that is a little bit thicker. The ones that I use are Pilot Razor 0.2 and this Pentel sign pen. These are my go-to. You can also use others. There are Straddlers. They come in different gauges, meaning thickness. They're a little bit more precise. You're going to need white pencils. I'm using these two, Prismacolor and this one, which is the Caran. This is substantially more money than the Prismacolor. Some of the things that you may want to have to do highlights. This is a rigging brush, and I'm using white gouache, and this is a ruling pen. This is pretty old school. And for markers, for the longest time I use Prismacolor. These are professional grade. I have no problem recommending these. Make sure you're getting the one with the chisel point, and on the other end is a nib. They also make one that is a brush. Do not get this one.
Do not get this one.
For most architectural drawings, you're going to use the chisel point the most. I would say 80 to 90% of the time. Actually, last week I bought this brand, Copic. They also have a chisel point and a nib at the end. They are really great, although they are a lot more money than the Prismacolor. I'm going to show you, all you need is 5 colors to build a gradation of colors. So for Copic, I'm using their warm grays, and for Prismacolor, I like to use their French grays. I almost forgot, color pencils. So I am using Prismacolor, same brand as the marker. This is 120. You don't have to buy this whole set. As a matter of fact, you can just get a la carte. Notice all my colors, these are the ones I use the most. They're mostly neutrals. For interior design or architectural drawings, we use mostly these colors, so I usually buy a la carte. So to transfer an image, such as this is an image of a Vespa, you can do a couple of things. You can use vellum. So I literally traced this using vellum. So notice that vellum obviously is pretty translucent. I can see all the outline of it. And also you can use tracing paper, right? Very, very translucent. You can see all the lines. And after you make the tracing, you can make a Xerox of it. So I made a Xerox. So this is a Xerox of the tracing. And so from here, you can literally start to use your marker and your color pencils. And so I'm just showing you, this is the wash, and then eventually you can build up a drawing such as this, using this technique of tracing and making a copy, and then doing your drawing on top of the Xerox paper. Other method is using marker paper. Marker paper is not as translucent as tracing paper and vellum. So if I would have to trace this, it's really difficult. It's almost opaque. I cannot really see the line. So it's really best used if you're literally drawing something right on top of it, and not to use this paper as a tracing method. So there's your two options, using tracing paper and vellum, such as this, to trace things, or to use marker paper. The three primary colors of light are red, green, and blue. They produce white light when combined equally. Three primary colors of pigments are yellow, red, and blue. Although the pigments used in printing are yellow, magenta, and cyan, along with black. There are three dimensions to describe color, much the way someone uses the dimensions of height, width, and depth to quantitatively describe form and space. The three color dimensions are hue, value, and intensity, or chroma. The hue is the basic color, such as red, yellow, or blue. The value describes the degree of lightness or darkness of color in relation to white and black. The intensity or chroma of color, a color, is defined by the degree of purity of a hue when compared with the neutral gray of the same value. So when white is added to the hue, its value is raised and a tint is created. When black is added, its value is lower and a shade is created. Adding gray of the same value to a hue creates a tone. The chroma of a color can be ranged from very weak, grayish, to very strong, vivid. Other commonly used terms for chroma are purity and saturation. Applying that same color on top of the color that I just applied earlier. So for instance, warm gray 1, I'm applying that same color on top of it. I get double the value. So now I am getting warm gray 2. So same thing for number 3, number 5, number 7, and number 9. So with 5 colors, I can double my gradation to 10. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do a marker over marker technique. So first start with a base color, so whatever color that you're using maybe this green here. So now you can pick either your French gray, Prismacolor, or your Copic. And start with the lightest color first, the warm gray 1. So you can see, does it change anything? Doesn't, you can move on to another. Still doesn't move that much. So you can keep testing it until you got the tone you want. Now you can start to see the gradation here. Start to see this marker over marker technique. So play around with this. So there you have it. So with colored pencil is you want to be a little bit light on your hand and then gradually build your color that way. So if it's a straight edge, I'll use a piece of paper to kind of get the edge nice and clean. So I'm not applying very hard to apply my color. So this one color, I might want to add other colors in it just to give it more depth. So I might maybe add another green in here. You can kind of combine the marker and the color pencil into one technique. So let's try this. Blend these two together until you're done. So here we have a drawing that is not finished on purpose and only a selected area that is rendered. There's some benefits of doing this type of drawing that is not finished. Number one is the amount of time that you save of not completing the entire drawing, because obviously you're only drawing one area. Number two, as an observer, is actually a pretty unique experience. You're only giving them one area with information of color, and the rest is black and white. So as an observer, you almost have to picture what the rest of the space would look like. So there's another level of engagement that you are giving to the observer. And I think so, in terms of stylistically, it looks very different from most digital renderings that you see where the entire image is completely rendered. Here, you only see a small area that is fully color and also detailed. It almost looks like the image is emerging from a line drawing into something much more realistic. So that's very different from any digital drawing, and it definitely looks like it is hand drawn. So the key to making this type of drawing are decisions that you need to make about what area you want to render, what area you want to highlight, what is the composition of the highlight. So here I'm choosing an angle, a swath of an area, but you can use a circle, or you can use an ellipse, or you can use different shapes just to highlight the area you want people to look at. You also want to make sure that the area you're highlighting is also big enough in terms of proportion of the overall image. And if you're new to color rendering with markers and pencil, it can be pretty intimidating. So by doing a smaller area rather than the entire image, it can be a little bit more approachable and certainly a little bit more manageable.